ʻḤusax Gulchish Yagyeeyí Ťuhan Ḥusax Yagyeeyí Yagyeeyí ʼaak ʼḤudushée Yagyeeyí Yagyeeyí ʼaak ʼaduwóos'i ʼqasaneach ʼaak ʼaak hassu tlashak hassuti Yagyeeyí Chakudani Take the Hinawechan Hasakawanik, Yashkalnik. Iti Sunday ʼaak Gakwati, Anchorage. Anaski on plane. Yagyeeyí Captain Cook Hotel, you do a sago at Huawe, ya Stakatye nach Aya at outlets, a coutlets easen. Hasa Cook Yagyeeyí Wutin. Yagyeeyí sa de Tuasagu aka Sandwich Islands de Tuasagu wasai. Wasach tu Yagyeeyí Keltuchet with dus achi adatqua. Hawaii you do a sago at Kamehameha you do a sago we hasu an kawu. Hu ayat Yagyeeyí tin. Chaklik teach haswu tien. De tour dach Kamehameha. An kawu klein. Ali'i you do a sak hasu yuchatangi tin. Uhancha an yadi. Ali'i an yadi. Tlayachuti we just kanashki deka kwal chakut ku hastu duk ka hastu na ati hasawa shi itli ekwajak kwal hasi shi we ali'i hasi tuasagu wush de S'eek we Captain Cook ka Hawaii ku wan qanins qoa qatunda tani at the gate aya you has to klaati Yaa Daadunéiyi Wooch Ítx Ḥudushée Awe Captain Cook Wooch Ítx Yoo Wuti Ḥusax Kuqa Tlashak Wutien Haqa Wash Adugu de Tuasagu Wush de S'eek ʼaduwóos'i we Hawaii ku Qoneaya ade Hasyaw Sakaya Captain Cook Ḳusax Tlash ayach uti Hawaii ku tlag ayanach at atinach ayati Kwalyati tuoti Huqa tlag Captain Cook Yagyeeyí at Yagyeeyí Yagyeeyí Kamehameha qa'a de qanku Awe Chakawa qa Hasu yagudach tau atlain at Tuasagu hasawas ku adu ani sahat akukya hasiti Kelches chakuge aya Yagyeeyí Qone hasawa tau hasu ai Yagudach Captain Cook Yadiku de Inakawanik Guk Qalshat Kamehameha Hu aya Yagyeeyí Tlashad Wal hasu tuasagu Yagyeeyí hasawas just kleinach ka awashi aqawe Hawaii eka qaku Takatas awa jak kusatin Has awsaku an yadi Ḥusati Captain Cook Ade aya adaye hasawasni we qananawu ye hasawsane yashtu yakhyati at the tut ye hasawsanuk like ye hasawsana aqa hasawsi takat du da it Kalhas awu khaqa Kalhat khai does ade aya yebdutsini qananawu tin an yadi nawu Takat du gli yadakhi awsani Aqaqan Qakan Ḳusax wuti Lltakat du Ḥagu du tuasagu Konachawe glait Yachwuti Achchawe Witayach Wichakut Uk Hasaw Satin Ḥagu Ha Wishtu Achawe Hun Hasakawanik Yahavai Captain Kokasawaha Kashasawaha Ye Awechan Khan Hasakawanik Kaktihin Ho Achawe Hosaku Wish Kashnik Okechat Wuti Kona Brewing Company you do a sago at Pizza has as e Archewuke at we atcha Kagiwa has a sheikh Tashat Hodena Pizza Hoha Koa Hosatin Koa Take a pizza Captain Cookie do a sago at Ye away we Yagyeeyí Yachsaka Ya Captain Cook to us Ya Outline Captain Yagyeeyí Kashat Haswu Shuk Yehwajin Koa at Shuk Atangi Shuk at Grillchish Yagyeeyí Yak Wooch Ítx Yoo X Yuhan Adadunéiyi Átg Grillchish Yituagesigu Yewatani Aka Wooch Ítx Nasjan when it's Kanach.
Are you saying the pizza was called Captain Cook?
Yeah. So people thought that they ate them, but they assured me they didn't. Sometimes they make little jokes about it. And like the Maori came for a language conference, and they'd said, "You guys knew Captain Cook too, not as well as we did." And then there'd be this little wry smile. I was like, "Is that a joke about eating him?" And so, but they assured me they just gave him like a royal burial, which did involve cooking the body and putting the bones out on the beach to bleach in the sun. It was, and then they were going to give him back. They're like, "Here you go, we took care of him like we do our people." And that was what they do with their ʻaduwóos'i, their royalty. So it was a royal burial. It was a really big deal. And so when I ordered a pizza, yeah, I said I'll have the Captain Cook with a little extra Captain. But only there was this eye rolling at the table, and the people probably had no idea what I was talking about. I was like,
well, they have cannibal stories too, hey?
Yeah.
Maori people, yeah. Some of them they're not ashamed about it or anything,
yeah. There's interesting stuff. Okay. So we're gonna do add some more work for you folks. 10 sentences per week just to translate, just for practice. And so when we go over these, I'll just show you how I would say it, and we'll just see if there's any questions. Because I think there's a goal here, which is to have basically a workbook of maybe 100 sentences that we'll use to teach intermediate Tlingit. In advanced as well, but we didn't think of this idea until just recently. So now you guys get some more stuff to do. But I think it's fun because then you get some specific feedback on stuff, because sometimes people ask for feedback for stuff and I hesitate sometimes. Just because sometimes some of those things are so, it's like real emotional content. Like someone's writing about a deceased relative and like, could you tell me how I did it with my Tlingit? I'm like, no, because that's very emotional. I don't want to be like, you really could have said this part different. Like I just like language production. I'm just really like to celebrate that people are talking. But I also think some practical stuff would be good because we do there's a lot to Tlingit. There's an awful lot. There's word order, there's verbs, there's what kind of verb is that? How does it change? What does it do? And so I thought it'd be good to start incorporating that. And then for our Wednesday classes as well, we do a lot of question and answer stuff before we hit record. So we looked at some sentences like that fish jumped where they looked. That raven landed in the tree they were looking at. Ḥusax for squatted or perched for a bird. Landed for a bird or a plane. and for an octopus to squat walk, which I guess we decide other people can squat walk as well. But ʼyanushqaq was the verb I was given for like an octopus to walk along. Because someone asked that and I couldn't figure out where. But George
It's
said it's,
because it floats, though. So maybe it can't be a person because they're floating and then they come down.
well, that would be like when they move on the land, specifically, like and or on the ocean bottom. But on the ocean bottom, they kind of swim too. So but they can live outside of the water for like a week at a time, and so they can walk around and stuff. And so someone was asking me how to say an octopus walked, and I was like, because we got like, and they're like, do the yana good? I was like, maybe, but I don't think, maybe not. And so. Yeah. So we're doing some things with yeah. To recap, when you add yeah after a verb, maybe I should have done it here. If there's a plus I classifier, you usually get a suffix there. So that should probably be ʼaduwóos'i. Yeah. Let's go to the place where we will pick berries. We left the place where we did pick berries. Then we talked a little bit about attributive suffixes and how those can turn verbs into adjectives. So tlitsini douche, tlichani douche, Yagyeeyí douche, ʻatánk douche, S'eek douche. Strong cat, stinky cat, good cat, wet cat, happy cat. Sounds like a neat little story. Yanagutiqa, the person who is walking, and Ḳudushée, the ones who hate me. Yeah, I don't know. Then we talked a little bit about subordinative forms. Those are a little bit different. The attributive suffix is always low. The relational suffix is the opposite of the vowel before it. So that's our recap of our notes. Thoughts or questions before we look at anything else?
I love that gunachchish iqsatini. You said that was more inland, but can we use that here as well?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's like it's not a dialect construction, it's just that's the first place I think I remember hearing it, which made me think about how to translate gunachchish.
That can be casual and formal, correct? Like in cross social.
Yeah, it was just like a one-on-one. I just saw an individual and they said gunachchish iqsatini. Like I am, but we saw this as well with ʼaduwóos'i Yagyeeyí, right? That's Cyril George. When he said that, it's like that doesn't. And so sometimes people, when we look at how the language works, this does mean thank you. We're not saying that it doesn't, but it could in context the meaning can shift a little bit. I am thankful. Yeah. Other thoughts or questions?
Did you write Kafka's sentence?
I'm feeling thankful today.
Gunachchish.
I guess thankfulness is inside me today. What do you say? Yeah, Átg. We'll try it that way. Okay. When I hear Yagyeeyí and Yagyeeyí, so Yagyeeyí and Yagyeeyí, I would recommend writing those ya's long. I always hear them. I don't know. I think they should be written long. And how do we translate Yagyeeyí and Yagyeeyí?
Yidat is now.
Mm-hmm. So Yidat is now.
So right now
Right now.
and today.
And today. Okay. Sheesh. Okay. let's see, well, we could do some different things. We have some more of those find the verb sentences, which are kind of fun. We could find the verb and talk about how it's working.
And I do have the sentences ready too.
And we have your 30 sentences to translate, which might turn into 40 by tomorrow. Fun stuff. But it's also like don't feel pressure. Don't feel like if you don't get 40 sentences translated over the weekend that the walls will crumble. It'll be just fine. But then once you get caught up, we'll just be doing 10 every week. They'll go up on probably Thursday.
Yes, it's already
Good job.
all linked together. The moment 206 gets it, 306 is going to get it. So
Maybe we'll
tomorrow-
are we gonna start a workbook for everybody like we did for
Already did. I'm ready to share.
ʻaak's got it together. Okay, so we could talk about prefix contraction. We could look at spotting the verb. We could translate ʼaak ʼatánk. What do you guys feel like doing?
Spotting a verb is my vote.
So Yannicka, what was your vote?
Spotting the verbs.
I second that motion.
So moved and seconded. All those in favor say the sentence. I'm just kidding. Okay. So here's our next sentence. We've done 1, 2, 3 of these. So here's our fourth one. Can somebody read this?
Yagyeeyí Yaa Daadunéiyi.
Sheesh. Which ones are verbs? Are there? Well, there's a verb in every sentence.
ʼaduwóos'i.
Yes, we need to have one more word.
ʼadi. Wooch.
Yeah, so nuch has to be on there. Nuch, and then ya ati. So there's our two verbs. So nuch and ya ati. So the other thing I've been thinking about is, so the box marks the verb, the dotted line marks the verb phrase. Like you need this to understand what the verb is doing. And I would say that day is actually part of this verb, because that pushes it into a na conjugation as a motion. So with motion verbs, I would just say, consider the suffix part of the verb, because it pushes it into a certain direction. Right? Okay, so thinking of this ʼaduwóos'i, what do we know about that verb? What's it saying? What's going on there?
Does the nooch means it's like a hortative?
Nuch means all the time.
All the time.
So it's either nuch, nooch, niche, or niche. In Tesson, it's often niche.
Is it ever
it
just
then-
contracted to just
It's similar, but it just functions a little different, because you don't have to change the verb as much.
Is the verb ʼaak like to hear?
Yes. So ʼaduwóos'i is somebody always hears it. But who hears it? The d part's what's left.
They hear it?
Yeah, so I do think there's a lot of resources that translate to as they, but I would recommend not. I would just say people or it is. In this case, I would say it is always heard. And ʼaak is, this one is really interesting, because you could say, when you say ʼaduwóos'i, like that sound is always heard. Like you say, it's utat, yeich ʼaduwóos'i. In the morning, ravens can always be heard. right? So I guess can always be heard is another thing. I've also heard people say stuff like Yaa Daadunéiyi Átg, which would be a grouse, a male grouse, sounds like a drum. So, looking at this verb, people are always able to hear it, or I would say it always makes a sound. Okay. So the thing that I started doing is color coding the things underneath. So there is an object there. De is the fourth person. The classifier is 0. Ugh. And this CH is interesting as well, okay? Because the CH here, so if you say, sometimes when you're using this hearing verb, it means able to hear it. Like if I'm on the phone, I might say, Ďaďieyí, can you hear me? Ďaďieyí, Ďaďieyí, I can hear you, right? So what about Hindi, Yaa, and oh, what are they hearing? Sorry. There might be a new noun on there. I bet we can get everything except for maybe.
We lost the sound. Zoomed it.
Huh?
Oh, but he's back now.
Oh. Okay. It's because I said, can you hear me? And then all of a sudden Zoom's like, what? No. Zoom shut it down. Okay, sorry. I think we're back. Can you hear me? Ďaďieyí. Okay. Okay. So what are they hearing? So what can be heard? What can always be heard? I think we'll be able to get 3 out of 4 of those words right before it. What's S'eek? It's not a verb, it's a noun.
Happy.
Joy.
Joy. Joy or happiness. Yep.
Okay.
What's Yagyeeyí?
Like.
Like. Yagyeeyí. Maybe. Okay, what is the Qa doing there? Big hint. It's low tone. Another big hint. There's a relational noun after it.
Man. No.
Not quite.
People. Something belonging to people.
But like fourth person, not fourth person, but like just people in general. It's
Yeah.
done.
Something like people, but it's not quite people.
Like.
Because when it's low tone, it's not going to be just people on its own. Other ways you could use this: Qa tla, Qa ish, Qa adi.
And.
No, like the people's mother.
People's.
The
People's.
people's father.
And then the Yagyeeyí part, that might be new for us. You could also, there's Ďaďieyí is a very similar thing.
Oh, Yik as an inside.
It's a different yik.
Oh. Cool.
We're yiking in a different direction now. But this one is usually, it's got Yagyeeyí. I don't think you say it's not. I've heard Ďaďieyí before. It's the sound of something. I hear a dog making its sounds, right?
I hear the sound the joyful people are making.
People making joyous sounds can always be heard. Hindi, Yaa Daadunéiyi. What do we know about that one?
Towards the water.
Towards the
Towards
water.
it.
Yep.
Could the I at the end be kind of making it be like when people go towards the water?
Yep. Why is there an A on the front of it? That's maybe
Because they're two third persons.
it has to do with person. It's not a third. Yeah, because like usually we do have that a pop up because you have a third person, but this motion verb, yaa na'at, right? Yaa hasna'at, yan tu'at, those types of things, it only has a subject. There's no object in this verb. But for some motion verbs, this is from the Book of Exceptions, chapter 92. For some motion verbs, the fourth person is on the object. I don't know why. I don't know why. Neich awakut. Somebody came in. Hinde ya anaati. Joyous sounds can always be heard when people are going to the water. And this is talking about like going down to strength training. We're excited. This is from ʼaak, Frank Johnson telling Duktuk, which you all are going to work on for your midterm. We're going to talk about that next week. You got a month, whatever. Just kind of like translate every single word that's in there. Any questions about that one? Someone want to read this one?
S'eek
Sheesh. Where are the verbs at? Well, for this one, you have to grab all three of those words. Kech puts it in a negative. You can't remove that from the verb because it makes it negative. The K part has to be there. We'll get to that.
Okay, so
It's the second verb.
ʼaduwóos'i.
That is the first verb. So here we go. 2 sentences, 2 verbs. What do we know about ʼaduwóos'i? There's that nooch again. It's always there.
If it's a DZ, is it the D or the S? I can never.
Well, so this Z is the verb root. So this sh is the classifier. So like once we start sort of spotting that, we'll say Z. Okay, so that's the verb root.
To be difficult?
Yes. So it is always difficult. They're not talking about the Lingi language. No.
Just life.
Just life, yes. Life always difficult. This is like this true Tlingit inspiration, I think. Because there's a Raven story where Raven's like, yeah, you could do it. I'll be here. I'll give you words of encouragement if your beak catches on fire. And when his beak catches on fire, he says, everything hurts. You're just gonna stand it. It's like, sometimes this guy hear the truth. Ḳuste. So ḳuste is a verb that comes from a noun. So it is a verbal noun. Ḳudziti. So ḳuste is the noun form of that verb. Not every verb does that. Life is always difficult. What about kesh cake gita sheet?
Is it a motion verb? With the K.
Don't give up. Don't give up.
Well, it's not really don't give up, but that is what this verb is talking about. It's kind of a motion verb, but kind of, I don't think it really is. But it has K in there Okay, let's get to what it means and let's talk about why there's K.
Give up.
Yes, I see it in the chat. You will not give up. So sometimes in Tlingit, you use a second person future kind of as a command, right? Like, you're not gonna quit. That's not an option. And so, for the first one, ʼaduwóos'i, right? So there's ʼaduwóos'i. Well, I guess there is, I did miss something here. There's an object there. In this case, let's say it. Fix that. So it is always difficult. For this one, you've got this upward thing there. Why would it be there? And it has to be there.
Isn't it part of the future of that kind of verb?
It is. What does that tell us?
Conjugation prefix.
It is a g conjugation. Every g conjugation verb must have K in the future. Non-negotiable, not some mystery, even in the negative. So you could say, if I took klesh off of here, this would go high. You're gonna give up. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna keep that klesh on there. So that klesh makes the verb stem go long and low. Positive futures like to be long and high. Negative futures like to be long and low. There we go. We'll end on that.
Sentences?
Oh, we got 10 sentences. Or 30.
Yeah. 30. There's 30 and there'll be 40 tomorrow at.
There'll be
40
more tomorrow. No, I'm just kidding. There'll be 10 more.
So I'll put the link in the chat and I'll share it with all you too. So here's the link. Copy link. So this is what it looks like. I did the same setup. I'm going to share my screen. Just give me a moment. I did the same setup that I did for intermediate. So this is your worksheet. I did a favor for you all and copied the 30 sentences over for you already. So you would put your name down here, the student's name. Whoever gets into this first, you can claim that first student. Everyone else, you have to go over to copy this. Please click and say duplicate and put your name at the bottom. How do you find more sentences? Well, there's this handy dandy, don't need my chat, handy dandy link for you right here. Click on the handy dandy link. I'm gonna copy it. There we go. There we go. Click on the handy dandy link and it's going to take you over here. And each week that's been assigned will pop up on the bottom. Copy and paste it, and for our convenience, I also linked back for us for 306 at the bottom, so you can just go back and forth between the two. So I'm going to navigate quickly. I copy and pasted all 30 sentences so far over to this worksheet for us. If you would like to do it on your own without seeing Ḳunae's answer, just stick to this worksheet until you get done. Because what I do is put how Ḳunae shared how he would say it in that other worksheet. So if you don't want to see the answers before you try on your own, don't click over there. And until folks get majorly caught up, at least I'll put my name at the bottom and I'll copy and paste the sentences over. So if you want to see maybe not the answers, you can always grab them from my name at the bottom. And that's how we're doing it. So we share the sentences with the students on Thursday, and then by end of class the following Tuesday, Ḳunae's translation is up in this worksheet, or not this worksheet, the other one.
So there's one sheet that has all the sentences, and then there's another sheet where that's the workbook where you would duplicate a sheet and then you would fill in your answers. But don't type over anyone else's. things, because that has already happened this semester.
I shared the wrong link. It's the right link, but you all don't have editors access. I'm sharing it in the chat right now. Now you should all have editors access.
And
That's not my
we're the only ones who look at it, so it's okay. And no, you don't have to share anything if you don't want to. We'll sort of talk about them. If you have questions, ask. I think this is something we probably lacked over the years, is just pushing folks to just make language. And so we are doing more of that this semester than ever. So we're all getting out of our comfort zones, because you have to. I think that's where you find the things that you don't know yet. Hande ijin.
Hey, I don't know if Casey is here. Can't see. But I bet he does it now twice a week, the Tlingit time. So I just wanted to put in a word for that. Like Thursday, 5:30, I think, to 7. Come speak Tlingit, have snacks at the language learning lab. So that's tomorrow.
Sheesh. And yeah, let me share one more sheet that you'd all have. And let me give you all editing privileges for this one too. So I know that this is a lot, and this is going to it might get messy for some folks. We're just throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what happens. But this one is a schedule grid where you can pick a spot to just sort of be a person on the Zoom. So there are 2 Zoom links. There's the one we use for our class. So let me show you how to find these. So we'll go to Advanced Tlingit. Hold on a second. So if you go to tlingitlanguage.com under Learning Tlingit and Advanced Tlingit, that gets you to our class webpage, a whole bunch of resources at the top. And then I'll put a link right up here to this spreadsheet these spreadsheets that we just looked at. But right here is how you access our class. And right here is how you access the study room. Study and conversation room, those are 2 different Zoom links. So if you're in here while we're in class, you'll just pop into the class. But this is not linked to my account, it's a separate account specifically for language study. This is the Duktut retranslate for our midterm as well. Good job, everybody. Cheesh Klein. And oh, the Zoom links added to the spreadsheet. That's a good idea. What happens if I just copy this? Will it work? Nobody knows.
It should.
The whole thing is? Okay, might need to be. Okay, yeah, that should work. Yay. Okay. Sheesh. Google rocks, Google ʼaduwóos'i.
Will we go over the sentences in class, in advanced class?
Yeah, we could do that. We'll have to go over them probably pretty quickly.
Sure.
Next Wednesday, we can spend some time doing that just to see how we're all doing. And so the way we do it in intermediate Tlingit is there's a slideshow. Let me carefully show you so it doesn't have answers, perhaps. And you could probably find the answers if you really wanted to be a how am I going to say it? Ḳudushée, if you want to be a cheater. But so basically we would go, so I would say one sentence at a time. So I'd say, I'm walking to the school. And then I would just say, anybody want to share what you came up with? Did anyone come up with anything different than that? Anyone else? And then I'll say, here's how I would say that. And so it's not about right or wrong. We don't do any like real correction. I just show you, I say, this is how I would say it. And then we talk about if there's any questions or thoughts as we go through each sentence. So have fun with it. Don't stress.
So we could print it out and write our answers down at home and then later on see your answers and have that as our reference.
Yes, there's no obligation to typing it. You could, any way that you want to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Ḳudushée.
Kashuk.
Are we going to do the roundtable discussion on Monday? And if so, what's the theme?
Oh yeah, what is the theme?
How are you preparing for celebration?
Yes, how are you preparing for celebration?
Ḳudushée.
And you know, if you're not, you could just talk about things that people might be doing to prepare for celebration. It's all good. Okay. Ítx Yoo, huh?
Ítx.
Ítx.